I am the queen of my throne. I am the queen of my throne. I am the queen of my throne. I am the queen of my throne.
All right, and welcome to What's Really Going On. I'm Dr. Karen Walker.
And I'm Wynteezy.
And we have a great show for you today about what's really going on with
teamwork.
And we make a pretty good team, I think, right? A lot of you probably don't know, but Wynteezy, she has her own company, and it's called Entertainment Scorpion. And I rely on you a lot, actually, to do all of our production work. She's our production manager.
Thank you.
There's your kudos. Tell them about your tagline. I love it.
My tagline is, we are dangerously good at what we do. We pride ourselves on being a rare species.
There you have it, Entertainment Scorpion. I love it. So we've partnered, remember, with SDIG, Systemic Diversity and Inclusion Group, and they are amazing, the work that they do. And they're coming again with us today to talk about teamwork, and we have some great guests. So we're gonna just get right to it.
Let's jump into it. I'm excited.
And now, welcome to our guest, Patricia Page from Hyattsville, Maryland. She's going to tell us what's really going on with HR within SDIG. Tell us how you really bring that team together at SDIG in your work within the community.
Well, good morning. Yes, I am one of the leaders within SDIG, and I am responsible for HR and policies. I'm responsible for recruiting volunteers to participate with the organization, as well as I'm responsible for making sure that the team is on the same page in the area of communication, decision-making, evaluation, as well as delegating different tasks to each other.
Well, that's quite a role. Yeah. I mean, because that sounds almost like you're like the coach trying to like tell everybody the next play, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I mean, that's a big role, like in facilitation. So where do you think, like, were those like born skills, or have you kind of
natural skills that you have?
Right.
Well, I think natural skills, but I will give some credit to my grandmother. She was a well-disciplined woman, and she just loved things in order. And that is something that I've taken with myself as far as integrity and being fair when working with people.
Right. It seems like you have that aura about yourself, like that empathy and sympathetic way, but we need to get things done in a certain, manner.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you are, getting people together and trying to bring a good team together, right? And how do you reach out into the community to do that? I mean, what are you looking for?
Well, I've had the opportunity, and I'll say since COVID-19, I've had the opportunity to work with mayors, chief of police, of course, Dr. Joseph, and working in our communities to make sure that the people that are in need are getting what they need. And as I always say, there's no community if there's no unity. And regardless of which race or background, we should always be willing to give a helping hand.
Right.
Nice.
No, I really like that. Coming together to help others. I mean, that's really kind of the mission there with SDIG, right? Is that social justice and bringing peace, with everybody.
Because you want everyone to feel safe in the community and with any realm of where you work, or in the workplace, like with SDIG, and then in the community realm of things. So it's very important that people also feel safe and feel comfortable to communicate their needs and stuff, and have resources where they can reach out to for those needs.
Yes, ma'am. And in addition, I am the police and public safety chair for the city of Hyattsville.
Oh, that's great.
Wow.
Yes, and we aimlessly look through our community to see if there's any assistance that we can provide in the area of policing and public safety. And that has really gone well.
Yeah, that takes quite a bit of teamwork, I'm sure, as well, with bringing the community together, with law enforcement, especially, lately with, a lot of the social needs of our communities. So what have you found, with your role, of bringing people together and building these teams? What have you found to be the most successful in working with people?
I think what's been successful for me is basically having positive feedback, as well as sort of like evaluation and asking the question, what did we do well? And once we figure out what we did well, how do we continue to be successful or significant? Either one of the two is good for me and for the team, I should say.
The feedback behind it.
Right, to continue to improve and find out, how you can do more of that. No, that's very impactful.
And
So,
then just on the other side of things, like being the point of contact for both sides, what is something that's challenging in your role?
What's been most challenging is sometimes giving a teammate an assignment, and when we're ready to meet to give an update, they're not ready. So sometimes that sort of put us back. However, I've learned that I can give them a call and just talk with them one-on-one and remind them of the expectations and what we all agreed to do. And then we get back on track. So sometimes we just have to remind people one-on-one what the expectations were in the beginning.
yeah, no, that's so important, the expectations and having shared expectations so that each party's not disappointed. Those are great communication skills for your teamwork. So you're doing a great job there.
Yes.
So for people that want to continue to build great teams, and maybe they're looking for help with that. So if they want to get in contact with you, the best way to reach you, you said your email would be a good way to reach you. That's resumewriterforyou@icloud.com. That's still the best way to reach you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And also, so what would you say if you could kind of give advice to somebody out there who's trying to kind of wrangle in all these loose ends, right? Like you're saying, you've got to work with the community, you're working with people in your own group, you're trying to build kind of these networks and these teams. What advice would you give to somebody who's kind of in your shoes starting out? Maybe who's feeling right now during this pandemic time is difficult. What advice would you give to that person out there?
Well, my advice would be to always have a spiritual listening ear to hear what people are saying. Always be willing to help, no matter what the level of help is. And just stay encouraged because, someone else may be going through something totally different than you. And always be willing to serve as a mentor as well as a coach, and willing to teach things that we have learned that have worked for us, and just willing to share all the time.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Well, thank you so much. That's great information. And that is Patricia Page with what's really going on with teamwork. Thanks.
Thank you.
And now, welcome to the show, our guest, David from Texas. And he's going to tell us what's really going on with teamwork and his role of Director of Education with SDIG. Tell us how you've been managing the team there with SDIG around education.
Well, as a team, first of all, we come from a lot of disparate places. We come from our team members from across the globe. And so as a lot of people are realizing with the pandemic going on, teams don't actually function always in the same space. And so it's a matter of getting people together, and we do use Zoom, and we have our own space within Microsoft Teams where we get together and do video conferences like this. And And obviously that has its challenges. Most people are realizing this, but we're making it work. I think we make it work because of interest. I think that's first and foremost with any team, as long as you have that common passion, that common interest going forward, you'll find ways to make it work. And our team functions that way based on that a lot. And then the other thing is we're very knowledgeable in our areas. And I think that's a big thing about teams as well. You want to get the right people in the right spots. And I think those two things are key for our group and our success, as well as any team and their successes.
Right, absolutely. I mean, you're talking about, you know, kind of the global team. I mean, I didn't even consider that. I mean, you've got a wide span of you're dealing with. So what would you say are some of your unique, I guess, creative solutions you've had to come up with? You know,
I don't know
considering time zones even.
Yes. You know, we've just had this conversation because we're hosting a presentation where a lot of the primary guests are from the Asian Pacific area, and then some of the other guests are from Central US, and trying to find a time is
Right.
one of the challenges. But again, if I go back to what I said earlier about interest and passion, if you have that there, people tend to be more accommodating. But you know, the technology allows people to communicate with each other, whether it's face-to-face, even in a virtual setting. But there's other tools as well. You know, you got chat. We've always had email. I know as much as people don't necessarily like email, we understand that there are ways to be in touch with each other without having to see one another's faces or even hear one another's voices. So all those things together, and we've been able to meld that very well with the tools that are out there. And at the end of the day, what does it come down to, right? Communication. As long as you keep that communication very free-flowing and very verbose, that's the key. We just have to keep talking to each other.
Yeah, I like that. And it's not always easy, as you said. I mean, because you know, the time differences or the distance or even technology, but I appreciate you know, putting that in there about our passion and our shared interests, because I think anytime, you know, you're dealing with difficult conversations or even negotiations, that's typically what it even comes down to, is that shared interest. What would you say has been maybe your go-to, you know, besides communication in your teams, that would be like a skill set that you've had to rely on, even, you know, during this pandemic time, to kind of get you through?
Well, you know, I think a lot of success, not only in teams, not only in groups, but as individuals and in life, is really about awareness, being cognizant of situations, being cognizant of each other, kind of opening your ears, your eyes, your mind, if you will, to try to grasp what's going on. Even again, when we can't see each other, when we're working remotely, when we can't be in the same space together or in the same room, somehow we have to find ways to be aware of what each other's doing. Be good teammates and help each other if we don't really have a grasp or an understanding of what our teammates not only are doing, but their perspectives, where they're coming from, what motivates them. Sure, we need to know what they're doing, maybe, you know, what they're working on, the deadlines, how they're doing it, what tools they might be doing, all those logistical things, but we also have to know where their mindset is, so we can assist them. It may not be evident what they're trying to do, but the more we're aware, the more we reach out and connect. You know, those type of things really pay big dividends in terms of working together, trying to understand as much as we can and be aware of as much as we can.
Yeah, I like that. Just having the understanding behind, you know, because you don't know what that person could be going through, or you may not clearly understand what they're dealing with, but just having that communication and that conversation to get to the bottom of what you guys, you know, are trying to accomplish.
So and that may be easier said than done. I mean, so
Right.
what do you do? I mean, do you just ask them? Has that been your experience?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's because it starts with The Chinese have a saying about building relationships before you start working together. And I think that's key. Sometimes we can't just focus on the project, the program, the task, the job, whatever it is. Sometimes we have to more focus on the person and reach that level of understanding before we launch into the program or the project or the task. And sometimes, in this world, we're often stressed to stay on task, right? Deadline, etc. And those are realities we have to work with, but at the same time, we can't lose sight of the human element in that. And as we maintain our awareness of the human element, that assists in all those other logistical, mechanical, methodical things that take place.
That's smart. That makes a lot of sense.
That's so important. No, thank you. So we want to make sure that people can get a hold of you if they need to and find out more about this human element as well. So you mentioned you have a website, so they can check you out there. That's www.parity, P-A-R-I-T-Y, consultant.com. Or, of course, they can reach you at your email address with SDIG, which is educationteam@systemicdiversity.org. And that is a great way to get a hold of you. So if you could leave us with one kind of gem for us to ponder on, but for people that are really wondering, like, how do you find out, with your team? How do you check in with your team, like you're saying? I mean, what's kind of like an easy way to do it without feeling like you're like snooping on them or being nosy?
I'm going to say it's really not. I don't think anyone, if you're genuine, I think it really comes from a genuine spot. If you genuinely let you know what your intentions are and just tell them, I'd like to understand where you're coming from, that in a very genuine fashion, and you're truthful about that, people will open up. People will be willing to connect and share what they can, and that sharing is going to help you work with that person a lot. And so I think it really comes down to is making your own intent known. It may entail some vulnerability on your part, but let them know that you want to help to do this or that, and lead off with your intents, and that helps open up other people to share as well.
Yeah, I like that. Thanks so much. So thanks for being with us today on our show. And that's David with what's really going on with teamwork. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that was a great show about teamwork.
Yes.
I mean, I've been on teams before. You've been on teams before with sports, and we make a team here.
Yes.
But I'm learning so much from our guests, with SDIG. And thank you to Dr. Joseph Nwoye for bringing us these wonderful guests from his team. And I think they're just, showing us so much you can do just globally with the team. I mean, beyond just the technology and the different time zones, but I mean, we learned a lot about the different relationship building, right?
Yes, just having the genuineness behind completing a task. I know we all have tasks and responsibilities, but just having that genuine conversation to get to know someone, so you can know how to move forward with completing that task and that common goal. And coming to that common goal.
Right. And then having unity before community, you got to come together, right? And I think I love that
Building
part.
relationships.
Right, absolutely. And those relationships before business, I think that was crucial. And being able to be a little vulnerable as a leader so that you can have these open and honest conversations with people and find out how they're doing genuinely. I just have had a great time with our guest today, and that is what's really going on with teamwork.
I am the queen of my throne. 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 They gon' hate when we get on. They gon' hate when we get on. They gon' hate when we get on. They gon' hate when we get on.